Welcome back, Retro Gamers, to video 9 in the series Destiny of an Emperor playthrough. You may recall in the last video that we were able to vanquish Yuan Shou and his very strong group of warlords. We got into Jing Castle and we invited Liu Bei there. Now that actually marks the end of our third quest, if you count it this way. The Yellow Scarves were the first quest, Dong Zhuo was the second quest, and then Yuan Shu and Yuan Shou together were the third quest. And when we invited Liu Bei here to Jizhu, he gave us the fourth quest, which is to settle Jingzhou province. Now, by talking to the characters and by looking at the layout of the map of China, we know where Jingzhou is, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I also want to remind you that I shared with you one of my top 10 tricks, and that is to avoid talking to the priest who lives outside Jizhu Castle for right now. We're going to save his conversation and benefits to very close to the end of the game. So once we shut down the video, I went ahead and took care of some housekeeping. There were sabers for sale at Jizhu Castle. So now Zhang Fei still has the trident, but the other generals have sabers now. And I did one other thing that I didn't talk about, and that was, we have been carrying 3 and 4 power pills per general, and I pared that down to 2 power pills per general, filling the rest of the knapsack with elixirs, because that fits better the mission that we are about to accomplish. Now, here is one more thing that I did. I left Jizhu Castle and I trekked across the northern tier of China and came back to Nanyang Castle. Now, you could have just done gull wing from Jizhu to Nanyang, but I was hoping to pick up a few more, maybe another general, and a few more experience points. And so I like to fight my way across that top tier. If you're in a big hurry, you can just take a gull wing and end up here at Nanyang Castle, because Jizhu province is just south and east of here. So here we are at Nanyang Castle, and we're ready to dive into the fourth quest, and that is settling Jizhu province. So back up over the bridge, but now we're coming back down and crossing over the river again at the western edge, and we'll talk to this guy. He's sending us on to talk to some other guys, and they have got a request for us. So on we go. And he understands where we're headed, that we're going to try to settle Jingzhou province. And obviously we're going to have to fight our way through. When you see a general these days with only 460 soldiers, you know that he's not somebody that we're going to want to recruit. So we'll just all out against these smaller forces as we head down to the province of Jingzhou. We'll let him go. And house number 2. And Ma Su is telling us to go talk to his brother Ma Liang. So in a house southeast of here. Now keep that in mind, because first we're going straight south, and you'll notice right there to the little bit of west is another house. That is not actually on our itinerary now. It's Zhu Liang's house, but it's empty for right now. So that's not the place we were headed. Just wanted to show it to you because we will be back. Now let's take a look at these two warlords, 136.42 and 94.157. Now Gongji could be a good strategist for us, but not tempting enough. Let's just do an all-out and see if we can get through them in a pretty quick fashion. We've got plenty of elixirs now, and they're all elixir bees, so very powerful restorative for us at this point in the game. And here is the third house finally, and this should be Ma Liang. Okay, the four governors or Jing are fighting and causing the common man to suffer. Please help us tame these four fighting. Call them warlords for want of anything better. So here's the first of those castles, and let's just check our staffing right now, and it looks like we're in pretty good shape. So let's hit the portal of Wuling Castle. Okay, let's take a look at these two guys and see what they've got. 147.42 and 94.157. Didn't we just run into them on the route in? Yes, we did. And this is not uncommon that a warlord, king of a castle, will come out and fight with us before we actually get to the castle. So I guess he's doing reconnaissance or whatever. And if you recall, we just did an all-out against him out in the field. Let's do that again and see if we can cut this one down in short order. Now, because he's at a castle, and it will be friendly when we get in there, we could just do our targeted attacks and our tactics and all of that, but it looks like we don't need them for this first warring governor, Jin Zhuan. We've defeated him. And let's get in and take advantage of what this castle has to offer. And first thing we're going to do, of course, is replenish ourselves. Sorry for the delay there. And this particular castle has one thing that we're interested in. It's another weapons upgrade, but they're not for sale. It's going to be one of those found weapons. So we are going to sell. Remember, our knapsacks are full. So we're going to sell Guan Yu's saber. Now, if you're more of a penny pincher than I am, you could have saved a few coins by not buying one of the sabers at Jizhu Castle. And you noticed we didn't get into a lot of heavy fighting between here and there. So you could have just stuck with a spear until you got here. But I'm not quite that much of a penny pincher. And I just happen to know, because of my super duper gaming aid, that there is a bow. Now, the bow is a very special weapon. And that should have fallen into Guan Yu's knapsack, so we'll just equip him with it. With the bow, you get 2 shots instead of just 1 for each battle round, which means that you get almost double the impact from a casualty-inducing point of view with the bow, and I'll demonstrate that as we go along. And there's a little bit of a question still in my mind whether the bow isn't just a little bit more powerful than the trident simply because you get 2 shots. And this bandit force is too small to do any demos on, so we'll just push them out of the way and head on down to the next castle. Remember, we've got 3 more to go to, and this one is Changsha Castle. And let's check our staffing levels. We didn't lose anything in that last little battle with the bandit force, so let's go ahead and hit the portal. All right, this castle will be very difficult to conquer. Well, that's more of that trash talking, but when you look at these guys, you may seem to think that they are right. And unfortunately, they also get the first shot at us. So Yan Liang takes a 100-soldier bite out of Wei Yan, 144, Hua Zhang, 162. So these guys mean business. And Han Zhuan is the weakest of the group. So we're going to have to use our power pills in this particular instance. Let's go ahead and do the intelligence on each one of these generals. 136.26. Wan Zhang, 235, 147. Guess what? Wan Zhang is one of our tigers. We want him on our side. He's also a pretty good tactician, not a premier, but pretty good. Wei Yan, 228, 136. He's not a tiger, but we could sure use him on our team for a while as well. And Yang Liang, 168.42. So Yan Liang and Han Zhuan are kind of non-factors at this point. We want to gang up on those 2 guys in the middle. So we're going to go back to Zhang Fei and use one of his power pills against Wan Zhang. Let's take a look at the tactics. We don't have any tactics that are going to really help us out. Well, I take that back. Let's go ahead and throw some fire at these generals and see what happens. And the other generals will use their power pills. Okay, that fire from Zhao Yun did a pretty effective number on our enemies, but they are still fighting back and they are taking heavy casualties. They're giving us heavy casualties. And Zhang Fei's power pill is very powerful, as you can see. And Guan Yu's fire tactic was pretty successful as well. So this looks like a pretty good pattern for us. And we're going to use another power pill with Zhang Fei. We're going to use it against Wei Yan, though, because a power pill against Zhang Fei against Wan Zhang at this time would kind of waste some of Zhang Fei's power with that power pill. And Guan Yu wasn't as good as Zhao Yun with his fire tactic, so we may want to restore. And you see that, let's go back to that tactic. Yin Jian is a restorative that works on all of your battle group, not just one general. So that's a very effective technique for us from now on. And let's use the fire tactic as an offensive as well. And we'll use the lesser power pills against Han Zhang. And you'll notice they're ganging up on our two heavy generals. So, Wan Zhang we wiped out even without the power pills, which is a good thing because those power pills will now be targeted against Wei Yan and Zhang Fei's big power pill. And now we've got the restorative tactic, and all of our generals come back up to full strength or near full strength. We weren't that far down, some of them. So all of a sudden, looks like we've got the upper hand in this battle. So we've used Zhang Fei's last power pill, but we haven't used any of Guan Yu's power pills. And let's throw another fire with Shou because he's been pretty successful in that regard. And now Ji Ling and Zhou Kang back up here. They don't have power pills either. So Guan Yu, let's throw his power pill and take Wei Yan off the board. And then the rest of this battle should be fairly easy to prosecute. Fire tactic and straight battle and straight battle. Notice Wei Yan is taking a lot fewer than 144 casualties now, or giving them out anyway. And Guan Yu's power pill takes Wei Yan out, and if you didn't notice there were two strikes by Guan Yu. The first one was that big power pill strike, and the second one finished Wei Yan off. And that's the way it is with the crossbow. You get two strikes for the price of one. So let's go ahead this time and just target Wan Zhuang. Some of these Chinese pronunciations are throwing me off. They all sound alike. All right, we're pretty much successful in this particular campaign. So let's take the rest of these guys off the board. And all we get is a ah. Lots of points, gold coins, and rations for conquering this castle. And guess what we've got? Those two heavy hitters, Wei Yan and Wan Zhang the Tiger, they just volunteered to join us. And now we've got Wei Yan in our battle group. He's the 7th general, and you see that he's a pretty powerful guy there. But Wan Zhang is in reserve now. We took him on, but he was the 8th general, so we can't put him in our battle group, yada, yada, yada. Let's go ahead and replenish ourselves at the inn. And then we've got a lot of business to do here in Changsha Castle. And we'll be coming back to Changsha Castle many times in this portion, and actually this quest and the next quest will be coming back to Changsha Castle. Lots to be done here, and there is something else that we can get here as well. And the sword. Now the sword is rated higher than the trident. The trident has a strength impact of 100. The sword has a score of 120. So theoretically, the sword is stronger than that trident, and we can start passing that trident down to the lower generals as we pick up some more powerful weapons at this point. So the trident's influence is going to be fading, and we've got swords and crossbows now that are both rated higher, and we'll take care of them as they come. Right now, though, the first thing that we want to do is upgrade our staffing. We've got these two powerful generals to add to our battle group, and we've got to decide who we're going to replace. And the first guy who comes to mind is Jing. Remember, Jing is pretty strong with lots of soldiers, but he is nowhere near any of our tigers, that is Zhang Fei, Guan Yu, Zhao Yun. So he's on the chopping block. So we say farewell to Jing, and we bring on Wang Zhang. Now, let's take a look at Wang Zhang. You may remember that Wang Zhang had 13 or so hundred soldiers when he was fighting against us, but he is now down to 799 soldiers. So they kind of did a bait and switch on us. However, take a look at his strength and intelligence rating. He is in pretty good shape, and he has picked up the equipment that Jing had. So we sent Jing to the reserve, and when we bring Wang Zhang out of the reserve, he's already taken over the entire knapsack that belonged to Jing. So we've got the elixirs. Of course, we had used Jiling's 2 power pills already, but Wang Zhang is fully equipped. Now, we've got one other thing to do. We allowed Wei Yan to come on at the entrance of the castle, but he didn't bring anything with him. Notice that he did keep that high number of soldiers, and he's very strong and also pretty smart. But we're going to have to do a one-for-one trade between him and one of the generals in our battle group. And that's got to be Zhou Kang, because he's down at the bottom of the active list now. So we're going to take Zhou Kang's equipment. Oops. Wang Zhang's already equipped because he got Jiling's stuff. So watch closely. There's a lot of trading and cross currents going on here as we do this business. And I'm going to do it in a way that I hope will be fairly clear to you. We pass Wei Yan all that weaponry, and we equip him. Now, you notice Wang Zhang, when he came out of the reserve, he was already equipped with his weapons. But since we passed them from Zhou Kang to Wei Yan, we've got to equip them as well. And we also want to give those elixirs to Wei Yan. Now, look at our soldier level. Wei Yan is by far now the largest army that we have. So we're going to put him up front. And given his strength, we probably also want him to have the best weapon. And the only question is it the bow or the sword? And for my money, I'm going to choose the sword. So we're going to take that sword that we just gave to... Who did we give that sword to? There it is. It just fell into Zhang Fei's knapsack. So we're going to pass that to Wei Yan. And we're going to, right now, we're going to leave the bow with Guan Yu. We're going to leave the trident with Zhang Fei. And everybody else will keep their, Zhao Yun and Zhou Kang will keep their sabers at this point. So let's put Wei Yan up at the top. Then Zhang Fei, Guan Yu, Zhao Yun, and Wan Zhang. And then Zhou Kang becomes our trailer. We're actually going to retire Zhou Kang. Now that whole transfer trick here at the headquarters is fairly complex, and I will share with you more details of the way you're able to transfer those weapons and groups of weapons without having to do that tedious one-for-one trade and re-equip. And I'll keep you posted with that. First, let's take a look and verify our staffing levels here. Notice that Wan Zhang has the same number of soldiers that Guan Yu has. Guan Yu is just a little bit stronger than Wan Zhang and a little bit smarter. So we're going to put Wan Zhang up above Zhao Yun, just below Guan Yu. Hope you followed that. So now we've got our staff in order, and we have some other nifty little things that we can do in this particular castle. And if you will excuse me for just a second, I'm going to my super duper gaming aid here and take a look at the inventory, the weapons inventory at Changsha Castle. And we've got a new upgrade to the armor, and we also can purchase more bows here and get rid of the sabers. So, first thing we've got to do in order to do that is to hit the merchant and sell all of our general's armor. Remember, we had the padded, and we might as well sell that saber from Wei Yan as well. Zhang Fei's padded. Guan Yu. And now, being the penny pincher that I am, I'm going to sell Wan Zhang's saber. And buy a bow for him. But we're going to keep Zhao Yun's saber. We'll sell his armor. And the reason I'm going to keep Zhao Yun's saber and not buy him a bow at this point is that I happen to know that at the next castle over, we're going to be able to find another one of those freebie weapons upgrades. So here we are at the weapons dealer, and let's buy a bow. And before we do that, I'm going to take Zhang Fei's trident and pass it to Wan Zhang. Wan Zhang can wield the trident. He's not as strong as Zhang Fei, so we'll buy the bow for Zhang Fei. And then we'll get the upgrade in armor for all of our generals. Now you'll notice I didn't do any real math as far as the cost of these weapons or the amount of money we were going to get back from the sale of the old weaponry. And that's because at this point in the game, at least in this specific point of the game, we've got more money than we need for the equipment that's available. So let's equip all of the purchases. Now, one thing that we did not do at the merchants, which I should have done, is replenish the power pills. And apparently we only used one of Guan Yu's power pills because he was busy doing tactics, as you recall. And I think Zhao Yun didn't use any of his power pills. Okay. Now, there's one more thing that this merchant can sell us if we need to buy any of it. He is selling Elixir C's, the next upgrade. Now, let's do a price check. Remember, Elixir A was 20 gold coins, Elixir B was 50 gold coins, Elixir C is 4 times as much, 200 gold coins, but Elixir C will restore up to 1,000 soldiers. So it's going to come in very handy a little bit later on in the game when we've got generals that have enough soldiers, that they can be battled down to that level. But we don't have any room for that Elixir C anymore, so yet. And we don't really need it yet either. But there will come a time in the game when we'll have a very great need of that much power in our elixirs. So we're pretty well kitted up and staffed up for Changsha Castle. And just checking everything before we head down to our next target, Guiyang. And take a look at Guiyang. You'll notice that we didn't have to fight our way into Guiyang, but you'll also notice that none of these shops or buildings are accessible to us. So let's talk to this guy. Wei Yan, my friend, let me show you to your sleeping quarters. Just spoiler alert here, we've received several warnings about traitors in our midst, and particularly this, the administrator or the king of this particular castle. But we don't really know his name. So you get these vague warnings as you're going through the game, but you never know when you run into the guy you've been warned about. In any case, this is one of those guys that you've been warned about. And so we're going to tell him no thanks. Oh, won't you please reconsider? I'm being so nice to you. And now all of a sudden, he turns nasty. He's going to teach us some manners. Before we pursue this battle, let me just say that if you say yes and he shows you to your sleeping quarters, in the middle of the night, he's going to do a surprise attack on you, and when you wake up, you will find that half of your soldiers are gone. So, I mean, half of Guan Yu's soldiers, half of Wan Zhong's, a bunch of Zhao Yun's. You've just got a lower level of personnel to fight these guys with. So very much in your best interest to tell him no thanks when he offers to take you to the inn. 136-105, Zhao Fan is his name, and his two compatriots are not all that strong, even though they do have a bunch of soldiers. So this one should be fairly easy to overcome. I'm going to start out doing an all-out just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on my generals to make sure none of them get into trouble. Now, I could have used this as a demo for that new weaponry, and I probably should have. We'll wait and see if we can encounter some rebel force along the way that we can demonstrate our weaponry with. Meanwhile, we've vanquished this guy, we've got a bunch more of everything, and we have climbed up to the next skill level. And now the first of our tigers, Zhang Fei, is up to that 1,000 soldier level. And this guy gives up. Please spare me. There's nothing else we can do to him, so we got to spare him. And we can come out and take advantage of what he's got to offer in his castle. And one of the first things that we're going to do, I mentioned that there was going to be a weapons upgrade here. So we're going to sell another one of our spears, or sabers. And we're going to transfer the trident down from Wan Zhong to Zhao Yun. Remember, we're trying to follow that principle, the stronger weapons in the hands of the stronger generals. And right now, it's not that Zhao Yun is all that weak, it's that he just has fewer soldiers than any of our other tigers at this point. Sure enough, another weapon in the well. And this item should have fallen into Wan Zhong's knapsack. So now at this point, we have two swords, 2 bows, and 1 trident. And we're going to kind of compare the striking power of those implements at this point. Now, I suppose we should go to the inn and replenish ourselves. We didn't use any elixirs yet, so we've still got elixir C's available, but we have a boatload of elixir B's that we haven't used yet. So, we're back up to full staffed strength. And the next thing that we're going to do is drop in here to the recorder and invite Liu Bei. That way, as we go back and forth and shut down the game and start up again, etc., we've got Liu Bei a little closer to the action. And he doesn't seem to be too happy that we invited him here. He just says, get on with your business. We still have a castle to fight. So we're staffed up at this point, and we head out to the last of the 4 castles, which is Ling Ling Castle. And this is too small a force for us to demonstrate our weapons against. For all you grammarians, it's too small a force against which to demonstrate our weapons. Now you could go to the west side of these mountains. There's kind of a little bit of a shortcut, but it's a back and forth, and takes a little bit longer. So I'm going what might be the long way around. Of course, no matter which way you go, you're going to run into some fights along the way. So which one's quicker? Kind of depends. And you'll notice how quickly these enemy forces are being decimated, obliterated by our strikes. It's, usually not more than one battle round to get rid of them all. That's because of the power of the weapons that we have in our arsenal now. But it's going to be a different story when we get here. And let's just take a quick look. Our staffing level is, we haven't experienced any casualties at all from those brigand bandit rebel groups that we ran into. That shows how powerful our weapons are at this time. But let's hit the barricade and see if we can find a force worthy of demonstrating our new power. Jing Rong, 168.31 with 1,500 soldiers, and Liu Yang, 126, 1381. He's the weaker of the two. So let's just gang up. I don't think we need a power pill, so let's just gang up on Jing Rong. As a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Let's let Wei Yan and Zhang Fei and Guan Yu go after the big guy, and then we'll send Wan Zhong and Zhao Yun after the little guy, and let's keep an eye on what the weapons are doing. So Wei Yan, 504 casualties, Zhao Yun, 220. And that's the difference between Wei Yan and his high number of soldiers and the sword that he's wielding. And Wan Zhong, 292. You see, Zhang Fei now is a huge set of casualties with that bow because he gets 2 strikes. Guan Yu the same way. Not as powerful as Zhang Fei, but 2 separate strikes. So let's let Wei Yan finish that guy off. And let's just send Guan Yu down here against one of these rebel forces because we're going to take out both of these generals with just a little bit of a battle round. And Liu Yang used some fire against us. And you see that double strike of Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. So you're getting the idea anyway of the power of these weapons. These are the swords and the bows, keeping in mind that Zhao Yun has the trident, and what appeared to be a very powerful weapon in its time is now kind of the laggard in the group with these more powerful weapons. Okay, do we need any elixirs? Looks like we do not. So let's hit the main battle group here for the last castle in Jingzhou province, Lingling Castle. This guy is obviously a tactician. He's got the Frankenstein headdress. Let's see what he brings to the table. 126, 157. Kind of a middle-of-the-road guy, but I'm sure his tactics are going to be fairly effective. And Jing Daorong, we just defeated. Remember, he was the strong guy at the barricade. Now he's picked up a new army and fallen back to the castle itself. So, I don't think we need even tactics. We certainly don't need power pills here. But let's send all of our muscle against the tactician. Wei Yan with his sword, Zhao Yun with his trident. About half the effect. And sure enough, Liu Du uses fire against us. Not very successfully, though. Zhang Fei wreaking 400 casualties with his bow. Guan Yu takes care of Liu Du. That's another benefit with the bow, is if you get rid of one army in your first bow strike, the second bow strike just moves on down to the next army. And now with Liu Du gone, we don't expect any... Oh, wow, Wei Yan just got a heavy hit there. So this battle is over. Peace has returned to Jingzhou, so we have accomplished our 4th quest, and now it's just the housekeeping that we need to do. And there are a couple of important things that we need to do here. First, let us replenish ourselves. And let's next head for the merchant. And we are finally going to sell the trident. We don't have a weapons dealer in this castle, but I happen to know that there is going to be a sword available shortly. But before we go get the sword, we're going to talk to this guy here. Pang Tong, he went out with his soldiers. Now, talking to this guy triggers Pang Tong. And somewhere along the line now, after we've finished here at the castle, Pang Tong is going to attack us. And he is a very powerful tactician. We want him to attack us because we want to get him on our side. But it's good news, bad news. He has a habit of wiping out your entire battle group before you can take him down. But the important thing is you've got to talk to this guy, otherwise you'll never see Pang Tong. It's another one of those tricks that the game doesn't tell you. And you really want Peng Tong because he's a very valuable, as I said, a very valuable tactician for a large part of the game. Now, we're outside because we saw this little hut. While we were in the castle, we want to come and visit this hut. No character in there tells us anything about it, but you notice a building outside of the castle, and you always want to stick close to the castle walls in order to access the place. And sure enough, there's a guy here, and we talk to him, and he says, check the area around me. Now, I ran back and forth across this whole house trying to check the area around him, and all you have to do, you don't even move. You just go to the check command, and you find the sword. So now you've got 2 bows and 3 swords in your weapons inventory, and that sword should have fallen into the knapsack of Zhao Yun, sure enough. And again, it's kind of a toss-up as to whether the sword or the bow is more powerful. And you'll have to make your own decision on it. But the bottom line now is that we are fully equipped and we are fully restored. And what we want to do before we head back out into the wilderness is to save our game. Now, if you invite Liu Bei here, he's going to Gui Yang, not coming here. So, oops. Anyway, so we're going to talk to this guy, and we are going to save our game. We only need 921 points to step up to the next level, but one of the important reasons for saving your game here is that if you run into Peng Tong and he blows you out of the water, or actually blows you out of the field, you'll be able to come, but you won't have to repeat your whole saga back and forth, and you'll be able to come back into Jingzhou province instead of back to Jizhou castle. So here we are back across the landscape. We're headed to Gui Yang, I think, is where Liu Bei is. And sure enough, this is Peng Tong. And take a look at what he's got. 375 soldiers, and he is a master tactician. And the only hope you have in beating Peng Tong is to use enough of your power pills before he uses his tactics on you. So we're going to hit him with everything we've got and hope that it's enough. And fortunately, we're wreaking havoc. But you notice that tactic that Peng Tong used against us. It was against one of our generals that would cause him to fight us instead of him. Fortunately, the rest of the power pills did their job, and Peng Tong is no more. Or at least, we've defeated him. And then he says, okay, you beat me, but I suddenly realized that you were here to restore peace in Jingzhou, so I want to join you. So Peng Tong has joined our army. And we got enough experience to climb up to the next level. And you see down there Peng Tong with all of those soldiers. So it is in our interest now to trade places Xiao Yun for Peng Tong. And let me just show you Peng Tong's bona fides here. Get his individual profile. Only 99 strength, but 240 intelligence. So he is the third smartest tactician in the game. All right, now we could, as I said, do the trading all the equipment and putting Peng Tong into the battle group, the fighting generals, but something else is about to occur that's going to make that unnecessary at the moment. And these guys are no great shakes, so we don't need to take them, either of them, into our battle group at this point. But we're about to start on what you might call a mini quest. And it's going to be actually a long quest, but it's not about defeating anybody, it's about finding somebody. So we're going to let Gongji go. And we're still headed back to Guiyang because that's where Liu Bei is. Okay, follow closely. Liu Bei got a letter from Zhu Ji's mother. So give the letter to Zhu Ji. Remember, Zhu Ji is our acting tactician. But now his mother is ill, and so he's going back to the capital. That's Luo Yang, the one that got trashed by Dong Zhuo. Doesn't make much difference now. But anyway, Zhu Ji is headed back to the capital to take care of her. He's leaving immediately. That leaves us without an acting tactician. And I can tell you now that as smart as our generals are in this profile, if I can get them to move here, none of them can be an acting tactician except Peng Tong. And if you make Peng Tong the acting tactician, then he's not fighting, etc., etc., etc. So as we wander out of the palace and are wondering what to do about this, we run back into Zhu Ji. He forgot to tell us something. He didn't mean to leave us without telling us that if we go to the place south of the cave he used to live in, remember, we got him out of Zhu Ji's cave, cross the bridge and go south to reach Zhu Ji Liang's house, and Shui Jing, call him Fu Long, make him your supporter. Okay. Shortened version, you may remember a long time ago Shui Jing told us that if we had Fu Long or Fan Zhou, nobody could stand against us. And Zhu Ji is now telling us that Zhu Ji Liang is actually Feng Shou or Fui Long, one of those guys. And so we really want him. He's a very powerful tactician as well. So actually, he's even stronger than Peng Tong. So we've got to go find Zhu Ji Liang. And the way to do that is to go back to Nanyang Castle, cross the bridge again. Remember, the bridge that we crossed to get here into Jingzhou was south of the cave that Zhu Ji lived in. And you remember, as we came south across two bridges and down into the fields, we ran into a house where that was empty. That was Zhu Ji Liang's house. So we want to go back there. Now, one way you can go back there is to just gull wing to Nanyang Castle and follow the same path that we took to get here. But the better way, and here's another one of the tricks that I'll share with you, is to go back from here and fight your way north back to Zhu Ji Liang's house, because you're going to run into some other generals who will be helpful to you in the future. Now, we've got no acting tactician. We can't use our tactics right now, but we can do an all-out and beat these guys down. Now, Ganji and Liu Yang, lots of soldiers, and they're okay as generals are concerned, but we're going to get some better generals than them, so we're going to let them go. And now I notice that we've gone a little long in this video. So I'm headed back to Guiyang, and I'm going to save our game. And when we come back for video 10, it will be the quest for Zhu Liang, which happens to be also one of my top 10 tricks. So you'll get a whole video with that top 10 trick in it, as well as the rest of the playthrough for this part of the game. And we just moved up a level, so now we're going to need 3,658 points to get to the next level. Those point requirements for levels are going to continue to increase throughout the game. And the only good news is that we're going to be fighting bigger enemy groups, and we'll get more experience points for each one of our battles. So that's part of the game that we're playing. And with that, we'll take care of the housekeeping and the other things in video 10 as I share with you the quest of Zhu Liang and how to find him. Because if you don't know how to find him, you're going to be wandering all over China and you'll be very frustrated. So thank you for watching. Look forward to the next video. Like and subscribe for free. Share your comments, questions, rumors, innuendos, suggestions, insights, Chinese pronunciation, and anything else you can, and I will respond to you in the comments section of my YouTube channel, Emperor Tricks. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.